Welcome to my podcast where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra. Today, my guest is Jackie Kallen, and this is the first podcast of 2025. So woo-woo!
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And I said on my last podcast, I said, we know this is going to be an interesting year no matter what. Right? Lots of adventures.
We say that every year, don't we? The beginning of every new year, we go, oh my God, this is going to be the best year ever.
Yeah, right. And we only hope because, that's all we can do is hope. And I am optimistic. I'm an optimistic person, which I think you probably are too.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
I always say that time flies, but you're the pilot. So,
And I've been looking at your Instagrams. I've been following Jackie on Instagram, and she always has these really optimistic posts, which I like those too because they're inspirational, right?
absolutely. And I do them for myself every day, but I hope other people will get something from it also because how you start your day is so important. To
Mm-hmm.
get up with that attitude that today's going to be a great day and, tune out the negativity. It's there, that we have rainy days. The sunny days are what make the rainy days okay. And so I think it's important to start every day with that positivity. And we have choices. I can choose to stay home and be miserable, feel bad, have a pity party, or I can get up and say, let's go, day. What do you got for me? And I'll show you what I got for you.
Yeah, I've read before where people have said that, happiness is a choice. And I guess I believe that's true. I mean, like I said, I'm just an optimistic person anyway, but so maybe that's why I feel that way. I always look for the good. I try to be happy, naturally sometimes,
I agree.
you
They
know.
say happiness is an inside job. I find that to be true. You can't look to make you happy. It comes from inside. And then when you're happy, you make the people around you happy and everything just seems to kind of gel. But it starts with you.
That's so true. I mean, I know that's an old philosophy, some Buddhists believe that, and you just read about it in, self-help books all the time, but I definitely think it's true. Um,
It is.
I wanted to say that you are very inspirational. I know you hear that all the time because when I met you at that dinner in Beverly Hills, right? That was my first time meeting Jackie with a bunch of friends. And one of my girlfriends, Dawn, she said, you've got to have Jackie on your podcast because she's had this incredible life. And you have. I mean, I was doing a little bit of research on you, but, it said you started off as a reporter. Is that true?
I did. And it's interesting when a very ordinary person ends up having a very extraordinary life.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what my path has been. I was pretty typical little girl, nothing special.
Hmm.
And I found out I could write. And that really is what set me onto the path that I ended up taking is I won a date with a rock star when I was very young, 13 years old.
Wait, can you say which
And
rock star it was?
it was a guy named Ricky Nelson who was sort of a TV star. His parents had a TV show, um, and he was really popular at his day and age. Which, being that I'm so much older, a lot of people don't remember him. But he was kind of like the white bread version of Elvis. He
You
was
know
very
what's
popular. Had a lot of hit records. So I won a date with him by writing a letter. You had to
Mhm,
write the winning letter.
mhm.
And so mine won, thank goodness. And it wasn't much of a date. I was only 13 and probably at my real gawky stage, but I was very talkative. I was like one of those little chatty Cathy kind of kids. And I just bombarded him with questions, what's it like living in LA and what's it like being a rock star and having hit records? And why don't you take me with you? I'd love to live in LA and tell me about your parents and tell me by the end of the night, he said, you should be a reporter. He said, you have absolutely no fear of anybody. I can see that.
Mhm.
He said, and you have really great questions. He said, why don't you try being a reporter? And I took that to heart. And I started writing for my high school paper. Then I started writing for a local weekly. And it just took off from there. And my field was celebrities, because after I talked to him, I realized celebrities don't faze me. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't feel like, wow, this is someone different than me. He was
Mhm.
just somebody who had a different job,
Mhm.
but I wasn't in any way intimidated.
Mhm.
So that put me on the path of interviewing the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan and Sonny and Cher and some of the icons of my early days, who people would still know today, obviously, but Tom Jones and Engelbert and Paul Anka and all the people that I interviewed during the 60s, 70s, 80s, Neil Diamond, all of them went on to be big stars. And we kind of maintained a relationship. So I learned from that, but you never burn a bridge. That if you make a friend, you keep a friend. If you make a contact, you keep that contact. And that just opened up so many doors for me. And I realized once a friend, always a friend. And that's just helped me to build a huge world of
Mhm.
friends that I've accumulated. It's like a tapestry. You add splash here, a splash there, and as the years go by, it gets brighter and more interesting and more textured. That after I met him, Ricky,
Mhm.
and we had
Mhm.
that little interlude, 20 years later, I actually ended up interviewing him when he was already a star. And by
Mhm.
that time, he was entertaining at nightclubs and things. And I reminded him of how we had met. And it was so ironic that here I actually was what he predicted that I would be as a
Right.
reporter. And then 20 years after that, he had two sons that formed a singing group. My boys were on a cruise. They met his boys, told them the story of how their dad had influenced my career.
Mhm.
And then they all became friends. And so it's interesting how the people that you meet come back into your life in different ways. It's really fascinating, I think.
It was kind of kismet that he put you on this career trajectory, right?
He
You know,
did.
that's amazing. Yeah, because I was reading about that on your Wikipedia that you interviewed the Rolling Stones and everybody, people that
Yes.
I still listen to. Um, so now let me ask you. We'll go back a little bit. Now, eventually, you get into the whole boxing, managing boxers, right? But your
That
family,
was,
that was
I was
way
to say, that was kind of crazy. I know you were going to ask how that happened. Everybody
yeah,
goes, how did you go from journalism to
right,
sports like that?
right.
And actually, what happened was one of the sports writers was out sick at our paper. I was at a daily paper, and they asked me if I would go and interview this baseball player. And I went, sure. It wasn't a big stretch for me because I had a brother. My dad was one of three brothers. My husband was one of four brothers. I'd been around guys forever.
Hmm.
So sports, gambling, cars, they were all part of my life. So, not being strictly a girly girl, I could go back and forth with guys, girls, whatever. So, I
Sure.
went and got the interview, turned out really good. And they said, would you like to continue covering sports? And I went, sure, as long as I can continue doing my celebrities, I'll
Hmm.
add sports to it.
Hmm.
And that's how I ended interviewing a boxer. Fell in love with the sport. I thought it was fascinating. One man against another. And,
Hmm.
the fact that they could go in there with intentions of hurting each other. And then at the end of the fight, come out and hug and say, hey, great fight. I was like, you just tried to kill him.
Like,
And now
yeah,
you're hugging him. The
sportsmanship.
dichotomy of that was really interesting to me.
Yeah,
And so I ended up being a publicist for fighters and did that for 10 years. And then I said, I think I could be a manager. I could take a fighter all the way to a title. I want to try it.
that's
And I found a fighter that was brave enough to have a lady manager, because a lot of them went, oh no, you don't know what you're doing. People will laugh at me. No way. And this one fighter was so great. He said, yeah. He said, let's give it a shot. And that's how it started.
wow, that's amazing. And then I read somewhere that you saw Rocky and that really inspired you, or was that before or
It
after?
It did. That was 1976,
Hmm.
and I started writing sports in 1976, so kind
Hmm.
of coincided. And then I started in boxing in 78.
Hmm.
So by then, the movie had exposed me to that underdog feeling of a guy getting in there and wanting to prove something. Then I
Hmm.
go to my first real fight in 78 and I see it live in person in front of me. And it was like, that was it. I was hooked. And from that day on, I just loved going to the fights. And, my dream was to meet Sylvester Stallone. And I ended up meeting him in 1980 and, ending up being friends. It's been, 44 years. We did a TV show together. And he's just one of my favorite people on the planet. But it's funny because when I saw Rocky, the movie, I never dreamt that I would ever meet or know him. And so it's just funny the way life is.
Yeah, I mean wow, that's so interesting. So did you keep still interviewing the celebrities or did
I
you?
did.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did. I did both, probably for another 10 years or so.
Mhm.
And then in the late 90s, it was when I was really busy with fighting, and it was hard to do both.
Mhm.
And I was making most of my money through boxing, and I had my own gym, and there was a lot going on. And so I thought I'd already interviewed everybody at presidents and Elvis and Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson and so many people that I had admired, that I thought now it's time to focus on the boxing 100%. And then I started doing motivational speaking, which I love.
Yes.
And I started branching off into some other directions. And but writing has always been, my first love. That's why I've written books.
I know I
And
noticed you wrote at least two books or maybe it's more, right?
yeah, no, I've written two, and there's one being written about me that's an authorized biography. We'll see how that turns out. But I had fun writing my own books. That was great. Just sitting at the computer and creating and writing, expressing yourself. That's what I love doing. I've just always my whole life loved journaling and loved expressing myself through words. I'm very much into that.
Now, when you got into boxing or managing boxers, I mean, was it hard to have like a personal life? I mean, or did you have to totally focus on that?
Well, that's a great question because when I first started, I was married with two children and I
Mm.
was juggling my marriage, being
Hmm.
a mother,
Hmm.
managing fighters, writing for the newspaper, and doing a TV show called, well, at that time, PM Magazine. It was kind of like extra,
Hmm.
sort
Hmm.
of like Access Hollywood, one of those
Sure.
shows. And then I had a weekly radio show. So I was being pulled in a lot of directions.
Hmm.
And it was
Hmm.
challenging to say the least, because that was kind of the order I kept it in, motherhood first,
Hmm.
wife, holding my stable of fighters together,
Sure.
going out on my speeches, and you try to keep it all together. But eventually, I think that it takes a toll.
Hmm.
And because I was so busy, it wasn't surprising that after 30 years, my marriage came to a major halt
Right.
and he moved in another direction. I moved out to LA and started the next, I won't say half because I don't know how much there is going to be left, but um, the next segment of my life
The next
started when I
phase.
moved
The
in.
next phase,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the next chapter. Yeah,
Yeah.
next chapter. So
That's
I
right.
moved out to LA and started a whole new life out there. And at the same time, I had my fighters, my children, soon grandchildren, and a whole new set of friends. And life was great. It's
Oh,
always been great. And you have to look at each new chapter as a new beginning.
sure.
And it's like a slate, an empty slate. You can fill it with whatever you want. And I've just been so blessed that every step of the way, every chapter has just been wonderful. The good and the bad, of course, but it's how you take things, it's how you deal with things. And I've just chosen to see the glass either half full or at the very least refillable.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good one, refillable. Um,
yeah.
so I wanted to ask you about the movie that they made that was based on your life. It was called something with the ropes. I know
Against the ropes.
Against the Ropes. That's it. With and
And
Meg.
I would say it was inspired by
Hmm.
my life, but it wasn't based on my life
Uh,
because the true story that Paramount bought was this woman who, like I described, was juggling a family and a career and friends and all that. They changed it and they made the
Mm,
character single,
mm,
which I was thinking, where's the conflict here?
sure.
She doesn't have, what is she fighting for and what's the drama here? And they changed so much of the story
Hmm.
that I made them legally rephrase based on to inspired by because they changed it so much.
Yeah,
But
that makes
that's
sense.
Hollywood.
That makes sense because that happens a lot. I've several friends who are writers, and some people have even taken their names off of scripts because it changed so much.
Exactly.
You
That's
know?
exactly right. And, at the time, I knew the story was very different from the real story, but I figured that the public would see it as just an inspirational story about a woman who
Hmm.
made it in a man's world,
Hmm.
who who is a fish, and maybe they'd be inspired by that, and they didn't need to know all the real facts to enjoy the movie. So I think it served its purpose in the sense that it showed women and young girls just follow your dream, go for whatever you want to do. Don't let anyone tell you you cannot do something because the only person that can stop you is you.
True.
And I wasn't about to let anybody stop me, including myself. So if that message resonated, then I think the movie served its purpose.
I'm going to watch it. I actually only had time to watch the trailer, but I'm going to watch. Did
The
you get?
trailer gives you the basics of the story. It's a woman going against the odds, and the fact that the men in the industry didn't welcome me exactly with open arms.
Yeah.
And but that's the way it is in any situation when you're in the minority and you're kind of out of your element. People
Hmm.
don't always accept you right away,
Hmm.
and that's just part of life, and you
True.
can accept that and walk away, or you can say, I'm here whether you like it or not. So get used to me or don't, but that's on you. And that was kind of my attitude. I love what I'm doing and I'm going to continue doing it. If
Hmm.
you like it, that's great. You can embrace me and help me, or to the left, I don't care. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm moving forward no matter what, right?
Exactly. Straight
Um,
ahead.
did you get to go on the set when they were doing the movie, or did you stay away?
Well, that's a really interesting story because I was set to go on the to location, which was in Toronto.
Hmm.
And the day before I was leaving, I ended up in the hospital
No.
getting my first heart stent. Very
Mm.
suddenly, had 95% blockage, and they wouldn't let me fly. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't let me do anything but get in the hospital and get that stent put in. And I've had three more since then. So I've got four now. But at the very end of the shoot, when they were just wrapping up in Cleveland, I was able to fly out for the last day of the shoot. So I
Oh,
did get to see this much of it.
the glamorous world of hurry up and wait, right? It's like just
Yeah, it's not what the public would think making a movie is, but it was fun to watch and to see them shoot the same scene over and over from so many different angles and so many different cameras. And since then I've gotten involved in several independent films as a producer, so I've had a chance to actually spend days and weeks on end working on a movie. So I know that it's not as glamorous as it looks, but it is fun at the end to see the finished product. So,
yeah, that's true.
it's a fun industry, isn't it?
And I was reading somewhere that you're working on a movie now, or at least you started one. What is it called? Gosh, do you have a film in development now?
No, I'm not working on one right now. I'm kind of finishing up. Um, they did a documentary on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a lot more true than the movie was, obviously,
Hmm.
because it's a documentary.
Sure.
So we're just finishing up the last parts of that, and it's going through the editing. So that should be out spring. So I've been working on that, and it's been a lot of fun just going over all the old photo albums and, talking about what led up to my decisions in life. How did I pick this person? How did I end up with this job? How did I end up meeting this person and that person? And it was just like a walk down memory lane. And they interviewed so many people that I know who are going to be in the documentary. So it was very satisfying. I enjoyed it and hope it comes out good.
Do you know what the name of it is yet?
I
Or
don't know that it has a name yet. It's kind of a work in progress. So
gotcha. So we don't know where it'll be shown just yet.
I know they're going to submit it to the film festivals and things like that. And where it ends up is where it ends up. I just go for the ride in life, wherever it takes me. And it's sometimes fun not knowing because then you have surprises along the way.
That's
So
true too, because sometimes when you're anticipating things and then if it doesn't happen, then you get disappointed.
exactly, that's exactly right. You
Yeah,
know, don't plan on anything and just go for the ride.
I know. I mean, who would have thought that you're from Detroit, right? Aren't you from Detroit?
Yes,
Yeah. And you said you just grew up in kind of an average, normal family, right? Nobody was in sports or show business, right?
not at all. Nobody was doing anything different and extraordinary, just regular family. And I had a younger brother. I do have a younger brother, 4 years younger.
Hmm.
And he's my only sibling, and we're very, very close. He's like, I just had lunch with him yesterday. He's like my bestie.
Oh,
And, the friends that I've made along the way, all the way back to grade school, high school, college, are still my friends. And I've just added along the way different people I've met in different ways, in
sure.
different places. And I think that's the beauty of life is the people that you bring into your life. They enrich you so much because everybody brings their own perspective, their own background. Um, I just love, in my case, the diversity of all the people in my life because they come from so many different backgrounds. I have friends younger than me, older than me, different religions, different ethnicities, certainly different career choices. And it keeps it so interesting because I don't have like a specific clique. Some people have a group
Sure.
and they stay with that little clique. And mine is just so eclectic and
You're like
from
me.
day to day.
I'm that way too. Like we were talking, we're both Tauruses, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I
We
like
love
I
we
like
love nice things and
nice
interesting
things,
people.
good food, and
Good food for sure.
yeah, and also we like to be. I think we get bored if we don't change things up a little bit. At least that's my case.
100%. You're the same kind of Taurus I am because I do get bored. I have to always be doing something different. I
Sure.
want to meet someone new wherever I go. Some people walk into a room and they're very nervous and shy. Am I gonna, you know, be accepted? Is someone gonna talk to me? I burst into a room and it's like, I'm here. Who can I meet? Who can I talk to?
Right.
What am I gonna learn today?
That's
I
awesome.
like embrace life. And I think that's part of why I've had such a blessed journey is because I truly appreciate every day. I have a lot of gratitude for the blessings that I've had. And that helps you to deal with the downsides. Like I said, the heart stents, the glaucoma.
Sure.
I've had 3 bouts with malignant melanoma. I have sleep apnea. I mean,
Oh,
we all get things.
sure.
And I just roll with the punches, like they say in boxing. Just keep on going. And, it's hard to hit a moving target. So I just keep moving.
Now, Jackie, are you still managing now? Are you still managing?
Yes,
Oh,
I
great.
am. I have a fighter, Mykquan Williams, who is 25 fights, no losses. He's doing great. And hopefully he'll fight for a title in 2025. I have Sam Rizzo. He's got only 1 loss and he avenged it. We went back and got that same guy the next fight and he beat him. So he's doing really great too. He's out of Detroit. Mykquan's out of Connecticut. And I just love what I do. When you can take a young fighter and mold them and build them and pick all the right fights for them and get them all the way to a title fight, it's exhilarating. It's like being an idol maker. You create a star. It's
I,
great. It's a wonderful feeling.
I have a question for you. Out of because you've met so many celebrities, who was there one that really surprised you, like that he was way different than you thought? Like, because I know you've met Bill Clinton and, like you said, Sylvester Stallone. You probably know Jackie Stallone, I bet.
Oh yeah, I loved his mom. Oh, we were like kindred spirits. I love his brother Frank. I got to know the whole family, his wife Jennifer. They're all great people. I was surprised by a lot of different people that I met. I still put Stallone at the top of the heap because he's just such a great guy, so talented and so warm and such a wonderful person. But meeting Elvis was exciting to me because he was Elvis, you
You
know.
met Elvis?
Later,
Oh my gosh.
oh my gosh, Elvis was spectacular to know. And meeting Michael Jackson, meeting Magic Johnson. I worked for him for a while, for a year.
Good.
He's a great guy too. Meeting Trump, I worked with Trump many times over the years. I've known him 40 years. He's quite different than what people would expect.
Mm.
Bill Clinton, charming. I mean, you meet Bill Clinton and you know, he'll charm your pants off.
Yes.
Um, just, just a lot of the people. Arnold Schwarzenegger's bigger than life.
I love
Certainly,
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think he is, I wish he could run for president because I think he's so amazing, you know?
he is a great man and just wonderful to talk to, and just a super nice man. I mean, great to his fans. And I've met so many wonderful musical giants, you know, and then I go see their plays about their lives, you know, and it's so interesting. And, you know, having met Freddie Mercury and then seeing Bohemian Rhapsody, you know, knowing Neil Diamond and then seeing his play, A Beautiful Noise, you know, knowing Frankie Valli so well for 50 years and then going to see Jersey Boys. It's really fun to see movies and plays about people that you actually know. And that's been a lot of fun. I really value those experiences. But of the people that I've met, there haven't been any surprises to the extreme. Nobody has been nicer than I expected, and nobody's really been nasty to me. I've been blessed that everybody's been very nice, very kind, very forthcoming during the interviews I did. And even people that I met and I didn't actually interview them, we just met socially, like Jesse Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, people that we just crossed paths at parties, Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, people like that. They've all been very, very interesting, fascinating, likable. So maybe it's just me that I like everybody, but I haven't been disappointed really by anybody.
We're able to draw out the best in people. I have a funny story. A few years before he passed, I met Marlon Brando. I got to spend some time with him, and he was the nicest to me, you know, and he just wanted to know about me, interviewing. He was asking all these questions about me. But I think when you're at that level of celebrity, you don't want to talk about yourself anymore. At least most people don't, you know, because he had done it all, seen it all. So he was just like, "Where are you from?" And blah, blah.
I find that to be true as well.
Yeah.
Many of the interviews I did, the subjects were interviewing me.
Hmm.
So it was a real conversation
Yeah.
more than just an interview. It was a dialogue.
Hmm.
And I like that about celebrities because some of them, I have to admit, some of them are fairly self-centered and full of themselves.
Really?
And you know, it's understandable. You reach a certain point where everybody in the world adores you and tells you how fabulous you are.
Right.
So, you know, you
Yeah,
feel
I
that.
know. It's
But it's surprising how many of them do show interest in you.
That's true too. Yeah, I guess it just depends on the person, you know, and the world that they live in and who surrounds them. And I think with Marlon Brando, he was kind of reclusive, so he wasn't surrounded by a lot of yes people, you know. So that probably makes a difference, you know. So I want to ask you one more time though about your authorized autobiography, right? You said it's in the works right now.
Yeah, there's an author in England that's been working on it for a couple of years now.
Hmm.
So, you know, I have to get an update from him to see where it stands. We're pretty much done. I proofread what he had so far, but he wants to add a little bit more now that I'm in the Boxing Hall of Fame and I got a doctorate, an honorary doctorate in philosophy and other things that, you know, we're kind of adding to it. But it's nice to read about yourself, you know, because I read through a chapter and I go, really,
I did
that's
that.
yeah, you know, that's pretty cool. So
I,
it is. It's very
I forgot to
it's
ask
very
you.
flattering.
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you about the Boxing Hall of Fame. Were you the
Yeah.
first woman or one of the first women? You were the.
Well, I'm the first female. Here's my ring.
Ah!
So I'm the first female boxing manager ever inducted.
Mm,
And I don't know if there's going to be any more because I don't know any other women crazy enough to want to do what I do.
right.
But I thoroughly enjoy what I do. You know, I've worked with women as well as men. I've managed women champions and men champions. And there's just something about it that I love. And when you do what you love, I love writing. So when I'm writing something, I'm happy. When I'm working with my fighters, I'm happy. When I'm out there doing a motivational speech to an audience of 100, 200 people, I talk to as many as 3,000 at a time, and I love it. You know, they say that talking in front of crowds is a big fear that a lot of people have, and I just love it. It's so much fun. And just to see the reactions when you hit something that people can resonate with and relate to, it's just a great feeling. So I love doing that. And, you know, I have to say that the charity work I do, you know, and I try to do a lot of administratively involved with a charity called You Empower,
Mm,
and we've done 4 events in the last few months. We did knockout skin cancer,
mm,
knockout ovarian cancer, knockout breast cancer, and the last one we just did was knockout crime to
mm.
honor our Oakland County Sheriff here. And I love doing things that give back to the community.
Sure.
I think it's so important that if you've been blessed and you've had a great life, you have to do something to give back. You can't just take all the time.
I agree.
You have to give and take. It's a give and take world.
Sure.
And I don't feel entitled to take anything if I'm not giving anything.
Right.
It
That's
just doesn't feel right.
that totally makes sense. If someone wants to book you, how do they book you for like
Oh, they could just contact me online. You know, like
okay,
I said, I'm on Facebook,
sure.
I'm on Instagram, I'm
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn, I'm
LinkedIn.
on X. I'm pretty easy to find,
Yeah.
and I love to go out and talk to groups. So yeah, anybody that's interested, I do a whole PowerPoint with pictures, and
Oh yeah.
it's really fun for me. And I meet such wonderful people. I mean, I've been all over from Canada, Vancouver, all the way down from the West Coast to the East Coast, and all the way up north to North Dakota, down to Miami. And it's just fun for me to travel and get to tell my story and hopefully inspire other people, not just women, but people to go out and just go for your dream.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Mm-hmm.
one time around. That's it.
Yeah.
As far as I know,
That we
you know,
know
I
of.
don't know. I like to let you know when I get to the other side if we come
Yeah.
back as something else or not.
We're gonna
But
hear the
as far
boxing
as
bell. Bing.
exactly right, ding, she's back, round 17, 18. But I feel like if I have one time around, I'm going to make the most of it and meet as many people as I can, and just inspire as many people as I can, and just enjoy life because every day is a gift. I guess that's why they say they call it the present,
Present.
because
Yeah.
it really is. Yesterday's over. We can't live it again.
Sure.
Tomorrow's not promised. We don't even know if there's going to be a tomorrow for sure. So today is our gift, and enjoy it.
And that's the only way to, they say, to be happy, you got to be in the moment and present, because if you're worrying about the future, you're not in the moment. If you're worried about the past, you're not in the moment. So that's why, that's all we can do is control right now.
You're 100% right, because we have no control over what's done already. There's no
Mm-hmm.
do-overs, and we have zero control over the future. So why even worry about it? I find a couple things that are unnecessary in life. Worry. I don't worry about things because if I can't control it, I don't want to waste my time thinking about something that I have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
Jealousy, envy, those are things that I don't allow in my life. I don't have any envy or jealousy of anybody. I want everybody in this world to do well.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in it together. I'm happy with my life. I don't want anyone else's. I think that, gossip is bad. We don't need to talk about each other. We can talk about things. We can
Mm-hmm.
talk about current events. We can talk about movies. There's so many things. We don't have to talk about each other. That's not necessary. So I've learned to live my life without a lot of those negative influences,
Mm-hmm.
and try to focus on the more positive things, and it really works.
For sure. Well, I want to encourage everyone to follow you on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, because you've got so many things coming out. This is like, like your new chapter. You've the best corny, the best is yet to come.
I hope so, because that's the way it's been so far.
Right.
Every year is topped the year before, and every day is better than yesterday, and tomorrow hopefully will be better than today. And like you said at the beginning, it's about attitude. It's about
Mhm.
how we look at life, how we look at ourselves, how we look at our friends, how we place ourselves in this big, huge world. Because
Mhm.
we're all little grains of sand when you think
Mhm.
about it on a huge, big beach.
Mhm.
And yet, every one of us are important.
Mhm.
You need all those grains to make the sand the way it is. So whether you own the restaurant or you're the valet driver, whether you're the cook, whether you're the wait person, everybody has a job, a function, and we all fit in together and interact together. And that's what makes it so beautiful.
That's so true. I mean, that's good advice for people just starting the workforce now too, because it seems like sometimes people now they want to get to the top right away, but you got to learn things along the way. That's happened to me when I was starting out. Little jobs, you learn so much till you get to the top. Just make the best out of every job that you have. You know.
Well, you're right. It took me 10 years of being a publicist and a boxing writer before I became a manager.
Mhm.
10 years was like a college education. I
Mhm.
learned how to wrap hands. I learned how to stop cuts. I learned
Mhm.
how to find the right opponent at the right time for a
Mhm.
fighter. I learned
Mhm.
how to negotiate contracts. I learned so much. And
Wow.
preparation is very important. You can't just jump into something and think I'm going to be the president of the company.
Right.
You know, you have to start in the mail room. You have to
Yes.
walk around handing out mail, and then you get a promotion and another
Personally.
promotion.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you rise, 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 and you might be president of the company. But you have to start somewhere.
I think it's better to know, even if you're at the top, I think it's good to know all how to do all the job. Not that you're going to do all the
Oh, you
jobs, but
have to. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. I'm 100% believer of that. You have to know everything, whatever business you're in, you better know every aspect of it.
sure.
I
I totally
agree.
agree. Well, Jackie, I know you have dinner plans this evening, so I'm going to let you go because you are the socialite that I know you are.
I just like to stay busy. I'm
Yeah.
just like one of those little social people. I like to go and visit with people and go out to eat and try new places and go to movies and go to concerts. And I just want to I squeeze every day. How
I
much can I
know.
get out of
I
today?
know, right? Because, like you said, this is the only life that we know about just yet. So you might as well get the most out
Exactly.
of it. And I hope next time you're in Beverly Hills, you'll do another little dinner party.
Oh, you're on the list now.
Yay, I'm on the
You're
list.
on the list, girl. So
Yeah.
whenever I'm in town, you're going to get that phone call. Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that I met you that night with Dawn and Lisa Woodward. She's so very nice. She invites me to dinner.
She's so great. And you got to meet James Tony, who is my former champion.
Yes,
He's
that's
an
right.
amazing guy,
Very
world
sweet too.
champion.
Very sweet.
Yeah, he is
And
great.
what's
It's a
the
lot
time?
of fun. It was a great meal. And I got to meet you. So it was a
Oh,
winner all the way around. It was a
thank
winning
you
night.
so much. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
And a happy 2025 to everybody. It's going to be a knockout year.
Yeah, look Jackie up. You will not be disappointed. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.